Here's the paradox about Sigma females. They can love you harder, deeper, and more genuinely than anyone you've ever met. But one day, without warning, they can walk away. Not because they stopped loving you, but because they love themselves enough to leave. Let's break down reasons why Sigma females can love you deeply but still walk away. 1. Self-respect over attachment. When it comes to relationships, most people are terrified of losing love. They cling, they compromise, and sometimes they even sacrifice who they really are just to keep someone close. But for a Sigma female, that's not the game. Her foundation is built on self-respect. She knows that no matter how much she cares for someone, if the relationship starts to erode her dignity, she will step away. Self-respect for her is not just a buzzword, it's her anchor. It's the core of her identity. This means she doesn't allow herself to stay in spaces where she's undervalued, manipulated, or disrespected. Love might pull at her heartstrings, but her self-worth pulls harder. She understands that peace is priceless, and if she has to choose between passion with chaos or solitude with dignity, she will always choose the latter. This is why people are often shocked when a Sigma woman leaves. They'll say things like, "But she loved him so much," or "I thought they were perfect together." The truth is, she probably did love him deeply. She probably gave her whole heart, but love without respect is like a house without a foundation. It can't stand for long. Once cracks begin to show, she won't just plaster over them with excuses. She won't ignore the signs. She'll acknowledge that staying means betraying herself, and that's a betrayal she can't live with. What makes this even more powerful is that she's not leaving out of anger or spite. She's leaving from a place of clarity. She understands that attachment, no matter how intoxicating, can turn into a prison if it comes at the expense of her self-worth. And she's not willing to live chained to someone else's inability to value her properly. A Sigma female's love is deep, but it's not blind. She sees reality for what it is. If a partner consistently belittles her, crosses her boundaries, or treats her like an afterthought, she doesn't rationalize it away. She doesn't hang around waiting for potential to finally show up. She knows her time and energy are valuable, and she's not afraid to redirect them into her own growth. It's important to note that this doesn't mean she's cold or detached. On the contrary, her love is often more genuine and intense than most. But that's exactly why she has to protect it. She won't waste her emotions on someone who doesn't honor what she brings to the table. Loving herself enough to walk away is her way of preserving her strength for something or someone who truly deserves it. At the end of the day, a Sigma female chooses peace over attachment. She'd rather sleep alone with a clear conscience than share a bed with someone who disrespects her. She knows that losing someone else hurts for a while, but losing yourself hurts forever. That's why, no matter how much she loves you, she'll walk away the moment staying means betraying who she really is. 2. Independence is non-negotiable. For a Sigma female, independence is not just a preference, it's a lifeline. It's the oxygen she breathes, the ground she stands on, the fuel that keeps her spirit alive. Love might be beautiful, passion might be intoxicating, but none of it is worth sacrificing her sense of autonomy. If a relationship ever feels like a cage, no matter how golden or comfortable, she will eventually walk away. Here's the thing. Many people confuse love with possession. They think being in a relationship means having constant access, constant control, or constant reassurance. That doesn't fly with a Sigma female. She doesn't belong to anyone. She chooses to be with someone, and that choice is renewed every day, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. The moment love turns into ownership, the moment freedom turns into chains, she'll feel the weight pressing on her chest. And that's when she'll start plotting her exit. Her independence is not negotiable because it's tied directly to her identity. She knows that when she loses her ability to make her own choices, chase her own goals, and create her own path, she loses herself. And no man, no relationship, no amount of affection is worth that price. You might think she's selfish for walking away when things get too restrictive, but from her perspective, leaving is an act of survival. Imagine being with someone who constantly questions where you are, what you're doing, or why you need alone time. To some people, that's just caring. To her, it's suffocating. She thrives in space. She needs room to breathe, room to think, room to simply exist without always explaining herself. Independence is her sanctuary, and she will protect it with her life. This doesn't mean she doesn't want intimacy. Don't get it twisted. Sigma females can love passionately, fully, and with absolute devotion. But what makes their love powerful is that it's given freely, not demanded. She'll let you in, but only if you respect that part of her heart that belongs solely to herself. If you try to take that away, even unconsciously, she'll feel the imbalance. And imbalance is her cue to leave. The beauty of her independence is that it makes her love even more valuable. She doesn't need you to survive. She doesn't rely on you to validate her. She chooses you, not out of desperation, but because she genuinely sees something meaningful in you. That's why, ironically, the more freedom you give her, the closer she'll feel to you. But the tighter you try to hold her, the quicker she'll slip away. So remember this. A Sigma female doesn't abandon her independence for anyone. Not for the sweetest words, not for the strongest arms, not even for the deepest love. Because she knows this truth, without independence, she's not truly herself. And if she can't be herself in the relationship, she'd rather walk away than live as someone else's shadow. 3. Boundaries are sacred. When a Sigma female draws a line, it's not a suggestion, it's not a casual guideline, it's a boundary, and for her, boundaries are sacred. They're not walls meant to keep love out, they're guardrails meant to keep love healthy. And if those guardrails are ignored, disrespected, or consistently broken, she won't scream, she won't beg, and she won't bargain. She'll simply walk away. A lot of people underestimate this about her. They think because she loves deeply, she'll tolerate anything. They think she'll bend her rules just to keep the relationship alive. That's where they're wrong. Love does not erase her standards. In fact, the deeper she loves, the more important those boundaries become. They're how she protects her emotional well-being. They're how she ensures that the love she's giving isn't destroying her in the process. Boundaries can look like many things: not tolerating constant disrespect, refusing to engage in toxic arguments, demanding honesty, expecting space when needed, or requiring mutual effort. These aren't negotiable terms. They're her foundation. And once you start stepping over them, dismissing her needs, mocking her values, or assuming she'll just get over it, you're testing her patience. And patience is something she has, but not without limits. Here's what makes Sigma females different. When someone violates their boundaries, they don't usually explode in anger. They don't create drama or play mind games. They pay attention, they observe the pattern, and when they realize the pattern is not going to change, they make their move. Quietly, decisively, permanently. By the time you notice she's slipping away, the decision has already been made in her heart. This can confuse people because she might still treat you with kindness, even as she's preparing to leave. But don't mistake her kindness for weakness. That's just her respecting herself enough not to lower her standards by becoming petty. When she walks away, it's not impulsive, it's calculated. It's her final act of self-protection. Why does she treat boundaries this seriously? Because she knows what it costs to ignore them. She knows that when you let people cross your limits unchecked, you slowly lose yourself. You become resentful, bitter, and disconnected from who you really are. And for a Sigma female, losing herself is the ultimate deal breaker. No relationship is worth that price. It's important to understand this. She doesn't enforce boundaries to control others. She enforces them to control herself, to stay aligned with her values, to stay grounded in her peace. And if you love her, respecting those boundaries isn't optional. It's the very proof that your love is real. At the end of the day, a Sigma female will love you deeply, but she will not sacrifice her boundaries for you. She'd rather end the relationship with dignity than stay and watch herself erode. To her, boundaries aren't barriers, they're bridges. They allow real love to thrive. But if you burn that bridge, don't expect her to keep crossing. She'll walk away, not because she stopped loving you, but because she never stopped respecting herself. 4. Love without dependency. Most people confuse love with dependency. They think being in love means leaning on each other so much that you can't stand without the other person. But a Sigma female doesn't buy into that idea. She can love you with every ounce of her being, but she'll never become dependent on you to survive. That's the difference that makes her both magnetic and, at times, intimidating. Her love is real, intense, and consuming, but it's also balanced. She doesn't cling because she knows her worth isn't tied to someone else's presence. She doesn't need a man to validate her, to make her feel secure, or to give her life meaning. She's already built that foundation within herself. So when she loves you, it's not because she needs you, it's because she chooses you. And that choice, made freely and without desperation, is far more powerful than dependency disguised as love. This independence is where many partners misinterpret her. They might say, she doesn't really care about me, or she doesn't need me. But that's not true. She does care. She does need you, but not in the unhealthy, codependent way. She doesn't need you to complete her. She needs you as a partner who enhances her already whole life. If you confuse that distinction, you'll miss the depth of her love. Because here's the truth. Her ability to love without dependency makes her stronger when things fall apart. If the relationship ever becomes toxic, manipulative, or emotionally draining, she won't collapse. She won't beg or cling to what's breaking her down. She will detach with quiet grace and walk away. Not because her love wasn't real, but because her self-love is stronger than her fear of being alone. That detachment can shock people. They might wonder, how can she just let go after everything we had? The answer is simple. She never built her life around you. She integrated you into her life, yes, but she always had her own purpose, her own identity, her own strength. Losing you hurts, of course, but it doesn't destroy her. She refuses to hand that much power over to anyone. This is why Sigma females are often described as rare partners. Their love is freely given, not forced. They don't trap you in guilt. They don't use neediness as a weapon, and they don't expect you to fill voids they haven't worked on themselves. Their love is an addition, not a lifeline, and that makes it purer, stronger, and far more sustainable. But here's the warning. If you mistake her independence for lack of care, you'll mishandle her heart. If you try to demand dependency, if you want her to crumble without you, you'll lose her. Because dependency isn't love to her, it's bondage, and she's not here to be chained. At the end of the day, a Sigma female will love you deeply, but she will never depend on you to define her. That's why, if the relationship turns into something unhealthy, she can love you and still walk away, because her love is powerful, but her freedom is priceless. 5. Growth is a requirement. For a Sigma female, love is never just about comfort. It's not enough for her to simply exist in a relationship, repeating the same cycles, living in the same patterns, with no forward motion. She craves growth. She thrives on progress. To her, love should elevate both people involved. It should push you to evolve, to learn, to become better versions of yourselves. Without that, even the strongest attraction starts to feel like stagnation. This is one of the most misunderstood aspects of her. A lot of partners assume that once she's in love, she'll settle into routine and be content forever. But routine without growth feels like decay to her. She doesn't just want someone to sit next to her on the couch for years. She wants someone who dreams bigger, who takes risks, who keeps reaching for new levels in life. She wants a teammate who pushes boundaries with her, not someone who holds her back in the name of comfort. If she notices that the relationship has turned stagnant, same conversations, same conflicts, same lack of progress, she'll start to lose interest. Not because she doesn't love you, but because she refuses to stay stuck. She knows that life is short, and wasting years in a relationship that doesn't evolve feels like self-betrayal. For her, growth isn't optional. It's a requirement for love to thrive. This doesn't mean she expects perfection. Growth isn't about never making mistakes. It's about showing effort, being open to change, and being willing to do the work. A Sigma female respects someone who admits flaws and works on them, but what she cannot respect is someone who's complacent, someone who shrugs off responsibility, refuses to adapt, and chooses comfort over progress. That's when her love starts to transform into quiet detachment. The beauty of her mindset is that she applies this standard to herself too. She doesn't just demand growth from her partner, she demands it from herself. She's constantly evolving, constantly learning, constantly challenging her own limits, and she wants someone who matches that energy. If you grow together, the bond becomes unbreakable. But if you stop growing, she will eventually outgrow you, and when that happens, she won't hesitate to walk away. This is why people often say Sigma females outpace relationships. It's not arrogance, it's necessity. She's simply unwilling to slow down her own evolution to accommodate someone who refuses to move. She doesn't want a partner who just survives life. She wants a partner who lives it, someone who isn't afraid to reinvent themselves, chase goals, and expand beyond the ordinary. So here's the truth. A Sigma female can love you deeply, but if the relationship doesn't grow, she won't stay. She won't sacrifice her future for the comfort of the present. She wants passion, yes, but she also wants progress. She needs a partner who understands that real love is about building, not just holding on. If that growth stops, her love may remain, but she'll still walk away because she refuses to wither in the same place she bloomed. 6. She sees through pretenses. One of the most striking qualities of a Sigma female is her ability to see through pretenses. You can put on a mask, play a role, or try to sell her a version of yourself that isn't real, but it won't take long for her to catch on. Her intuition is sharp, her observation skills are on point, and she pays attention to the little inconsistencies that most people overlook. In short, she reads people like books, and she's quick to notice when the pages don't add up. At first, she may give you the benefit of the doubt. She's not cynical by default. She understands that everyone has flaws, insecurities, and things they want to hide. But there's a difference between being vulnerable and being fake. Vulnerability she respects. Fake she rejects. If you build your relationship with her on lies, half-truths, or exaggerated stories, she'll feel the cracks beneath her feet. And when she does, her trust begins to erode. This is where many partners make a fatal mistake. They assume that because she doesn't immediately call them out, they've gotten away with it. They think she didn't notice. Wrong. She noticed. She just decided not to waste her energy confronting it until she's sure. And once she's sure, she doesn't argue, she doesn't beg, she doesn't stick around trying to change you. She quietly checks out, emotionally detaches, and eventually walks away. The irony is that Sigma females usually give love with raw authenticity. They show up as they are, flaws and all. They don't pretend to be perfect, and they don't demand perfection. What they do demand, however, is honesty. They want to know who you really are, not who you think they want you to be. If you can't offer that, she'll see the illusion and lose respect. The reason she sees through pretenses so easily is because she's spent her life outside the spotlight. Sigma women are observers. They study people, analyze behavior, and pick up on patterns most people miss. She notices the tone of your voice when you're nervous, the shift in your eyes when you're lying, the inconsistency between your words and your actions, and once she connects the dots, the picture becomes clear. Being with a Sigma female means you can't rely on charm alone. Smooth talk, grand gestures, or empty promises won't work. She's not impressed by surface-level tricks. What impresses her is consistency. Do your actions align with your words? Do you stand by your values even when no one is watching? That's the kind of truth she respects. And here's the hard truth. Once she sees through your pretense, there's no going back. You can apologize, explain, or try to win her over again. But the trust has already cracked. And for her, cracked trust is a deal-breaker. It's not about punishment, it's about protection. She refuses to stay where she can't feel secure in someone's truth. That's why a Sigma female can love you deeply, but still walk away. Not because she stopped caring, but because she cares too much about living in authenticity. She'd rather be alone in truth than loved in a lie. 7. Emotional strength to walk away. Here's the thing about Sigma females. They don't fear being alone. They don't see solitude as punishment or loneliness as failure. That's what gives them the emotional strength to do something most people can't. Walk away from relationships, even when they still love deeply. Their resilience doesn't come from being cold or detached. It comes from a profound understanding that self-preservation is sometimes the highest form of love. Most people stay in broken relationships out of fear. Fear of loneliness, fear of judgment, fear of starting over. But not her. A Sigma female knows that staying somewhere toxic or stagnant is far worse than walking away. She has the inner strength to endure the temporary pain of leaving because she knows it leads to long-term peace. For her, walking away is not weakness. It's proof of her strength. This is why you'll rarely see her clinging to someone who has already let her down repeatedly. Once she realizes that the relationship is draining her spirit instead of feeding it, she begins to detach. She won't beg. She won't bargain. She won't fall apart in front of you because her emotional discipline is unmatched. She might hurt inside, yes, but she doesn't let that pain dictate her decisions. Instead, she channels it into courage, the courage to let go. What gives her this strength is her relationship with herself. She has built a foundation of self-love and self-reliance so strong that she doesn't need external validation to survive. This means when things go wrong, she doesn't crumble. She can hold herself up, heal herself, and rebuild without leaning on someone else to carry her through. That's why leaving is always an option for her. She knows she'll be okay, no matter what. People often misunderstand this. They think she's heartless when she walks away. They assume she never cared in the first place, but that couldn't be further from the truth. She did care. She probably cared more than most people ever would. But her love for you will never override her responsibility to herself. She knows that sacrificing her well-being for the sake of holding on is not love. It's self-destruction. Her emotional strength is also tied to her ability to accept reality. She doesn't waste years trying to force someone to change. She doesn't romanticize potential while ignoring patterns. Once she sees the truth, she accepts it. That acceptance, though painful, becomes her power. Because the moment she accepts that the relationship no longer serves her, she gains the clarity to leave. So when a Sigma female walks away, don't mistake it for a lack of love. Understand it as the highest act of self-respect. She's strong enough to love you and strong enough to let you go. That duality is what makes her rare. She carries her memories with grace, but she doesn't chain herself to them. And that's her gift, the ability to move forward with dignity even when her heart is heavy. At the end of the day, her emotional strength is why she can love you deeply and still walk away. Because love matters, but her peace matters more. 8. Because love isn't enough. We grow up hearing that love conquers all, that love is enough to hold two people together through anything. But a Sigma female knows the truth that many people don't want to face. Love, by itself, is not enough. It's powerful, yes. It's beautiful, yes. But it cannot replace respect, trust, honesty, growth, and freedom. Without those pillars, love alone eventually collapses. This is why Sigma women can love you deeply and still walk away. Because no matter how much love she feels, if the relationship lacks balance, she knows it's only a matter of time before it breaks her down. And she refuses to let that happen. She refuses to romanticize a connection that doesn't feed her spirit. Think about it this way. You can love someone who constantly disrespects you. You can love someone who lies, someone who refuses to grow, someone who suffocates your independence. But does that love make the relationship healthy? For a Sigma female, this is crystal clear. She won't stay in a love that lacks the essentials needed to thrive. To her, love without respect is obsession. Love without trust is torture. Love without honesty is a performance. And love without freedom is a prison. That's why she never settles for love alone. She wants the full picture: partnership, growth, shared values, and mutual respect. If those are missing, she knows love will eventually turn into resentment. She has seen too many people stay in toxic relationships just because they're in love, and she refuses to repeat that mistake. The hardest part? Walking away doesn't mean her love disappears. That's the paradox that confuses people about her. She may still feel love for you even as she closes the door. She may still cherish the memories, still wish things had been different, but she understands something most people avoid. Just because you love someone doesn't mean you should stay with them. That level of clarity is rare. Many people let their hearts overrule their logic. A Sigma female refuses to do that. She balances her emotions with reason. She asks the hard questions. Is this relationship helping me grow? Is it rooted in respect? Do I feel free to be myself? Do I trust this person completely? If the answer to those questions is no, then love, no matter how deep, will not keep her there. And when she leaves with grace. She doesn't burn bridges unless she has to. She doesn't smear your name or drag you through the mud. She simply chooses herself over a half-life, because to her, love should never feel like a cage. It should feel like wings. At the end of the day, a Sigma female can love you more than you've ever been loved, but if the relationship doesn't come with respect, trust, honesty, growth, and freedom, she'll walk away. Not because love isn't real, but because love alone isn't enough. So, if you're lucky enough to love a Sigma female, here's what you need to know. She's not asking for the impossible. She's not asking you to be perfect, flawless, or superhuman. What she wants is far more simple, but also far more rare: authenticity, respect, and a willingness to grow with her. She doesn't care about your social status, your bank balance, or how many people think you're attractive. She cares about whether you're real with her. She wants to know that the person you show to the world is the same person she sees behind closed doors. Pretend too much, fake too much, and she'll pick up on it instantly. And once she does, it's only a matter of time before she steps away. Sigma females aren't impressed by control. You can't dominate her. You can't own her. You can't manipulate her into submission. If you try to box her in, she'll break free because her independence is part of her soul. That doesn't mean she doesn't want partnership. It just means she wants a partnership rooted in mutual respect. She wants you to walk beside her, not ahead of her, not behind her, beside her. That's where she'll meet you every time. And excuses? Forget it. She doesn't have patience for them. If you messed up, own it. If you're struggling, admit it. If you don't know how to fix something, say that honestly. Excuses are noise, and Sigma females tune out noise very quickly. What she values is accountability. It's not about being mistake-free. It's about being willing to face those mistakes and do the work to grow past them. Half effort. That's another deal breaker. Sigma females give their love fully and deeply. They don't hold back when they care about you, but they expect the same in return. If you show up halfway, if you get comfortable and stop trying, if you think she'll stick around just because she loves you, you're wrong. She'll notice the lack of effort. And the moment she feels like she's carrying the entire relationship on her back, she'll stop carrying. Not because she stopped loving, but because she refuses to lower her standards. What she's offering you is something extraordinary. A love that's rare. A love that's deep, loyal, and real. A love that will stand by you in storms, celebrate you in victories, and challenge you when you settle for less than your best. But that love comes with a condition. It has to be respected, nurtured, and met with equal energy. So here's the truth. If you give her authenticity, respect, and growth, you'll have a relationship most people only dream of. She'll be your biggest supporter, your safe place, your partner in everything. But if you take her for granted, if you dismiss her boundaries, ignore her needs, or try to keep her small, she'll still love you deeply, but she'll walk away. And when she walks away, she won't look back with bitterness. She won't drag your name through the mud. She won't try to destroy you. She'll simply walk with dignity, carrying her peace with her. And you'll be left realizing that you lost someone who could have been your greatest ally in life, not because she didn't love you, but because you didn't love her the way she needed. Now, if this message hit home, if it made you stop and think about your own relationships, or even about yourself, then don't just sit with it. Do something about it. Start showing up with more honesty. Start putting in real effort. Start respecting the people you love enough to treat them with consistency and care. And hey, if you're watching this and nodding your head because you are a Sigma female, then let this be your reminder. Never settle. Your standards are not too high. Your love is not too much. You deserve someone who meets you on your level, who respects your independence, and who grows with you, not against you. If this resonated with you, take a second right now. Hit that like button. Not for me, but as a little declaration to yourself that you're choosing real, authentic connections. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts. Do you agree that love isn't enough without respect and growth? I want to hear your stories. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already, because this channel isn't just about understanding Sigma females, it's about understanding yourself. It's about building relationships that don't drain you but empower you. It's about leveling up your life, your mindset, and the way you connect with people. Remember, love is beautiful, but without the right foundation, it crumbles. With the right foundation, though, it can become unshakable. Choose wisely, because a Sigma female will always love deeply, but she will also always choose herself. And that choice, my friend, might be the most powerful lesson of all.